Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided the information that detail the real news between the lines of propaganda about government policies and the true relationship we all have with coercive governments. Learn the true condition of our economy, innovations and technological breakthroughs in energy, health, computer science, and space travel. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media, the media that is so last century. Corporate media has evolved into nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but we now have a fantastic alternative. FreedomsPhoenix.com provides constant news updates on the issues that affect our lives in the most important ways. Our liberty and our property are under constant attack, and FreedomsPhoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda while encouraging the participation of our readers. Join us at FreedomsPhoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. FreedomsPhoenix.com, where the revolution between the ears has already matured.
There are those that just want to be left alone, and those that just won't leave them alone. Which one are you? The Ernest Hancock Show.
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the studios of the beautiful, the beautiful studios of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com. Today at IBM's headquarters in Yorktown, New York, an historic battle was staged. Two superstar Jeopardy alums, Ken Jennings and Brad Rutter, faced off against IBM supercomputer Watson in a preview round of America's most challenging trivia game. And we were there to see the thrilling man-on-machine action firsthand. Watson, named after IBM's founder, is one epic supercomputer. To handle the formidable tasks that competing on Jeopardy presents, IBM spent years constructing a computer with 2,800 Power 7 cores. That power is absolutely necessary. A single-core CPU, like in many modern computers, takes about 2 hours to come up with an answer to a standard Jeopardy question, rather than the 3-second average Watson currently boasts. They're parallel processing. And I remember them talking about this in probably the 90s. And what it is that it's like one of the big supercomputers is, I think it was like 1,700 PlayStations put together that the Air Force uses. You know, I'm just chopping up in a bunch of little stuff, and you got enough power now, you can just, here we go. So what happens with artificial intelligence? Well, here we go. The Terminator scenario. The Terminator scenario. Are we giving our military machines too much power? Well, I'll just give you a little story here. Last August, U.S. Navy operators on the ground lost all contact with a Fire Scout helicopter flying over Maryland. They had programmed the unmanned aerial vehicle to return to its launch point if ground communications failed. But instead, the machine took off on a north-by-northwest route towards the nation's capital. Over the next 30 minutes, military officials alerted the Federal Aviation Administration and North American Aerospace Defense Command and readied F-16 fighters to intercept the pilotless craft. Now, of course, if they had terrorists on, they wouldn't care. Finally, with the Fire Scout just miles shy of the White House, the Navy regained control and commanded it to come home. Renegade unmanned drone wandered skies near nation's capital, warned one news headline in the following days. UAV resists its human oppressors. Joyrides over Washington, D.C., declared another. These are the kind of stories that we're just going to be seeing more of. Now, one of the other things in technology, just kind of a cute thing here, Johannesburg thieves raid traffic lights for SIM cards, yielding free burners. Now, this is what was going on. In Johannesburg, South Africa, some thieves have found that there's an even cheaper and more anonymous way to make phone calls than buying disposable burners, like those featured so prominently in The Wire. Traffic lights. It turns out that some Johannesburg traffic lights use SIM cards and GPRS to alert authorities to malfunctioning lights. But those SIM cards can also be harvested and used in generic phones to make unlimited, anonymous, free calls. Well, okay, that's one way of doing it. Google Translate's conversation mode aims to break down language barriers. Now, if you go to the top of Freedom's Phoenix, on the right side of the navigation bar, you'll see where it says Translate. And we have Spanish and English now, and we'll be adding a lot of others. We got other things to do before we get to that point. But what it does is we have I'll tell you this story. There's a guy named Ricardo Valenzuela, is a very popular writer on Freedom's Phoenix. He used to do a lot more in the early years. And he was the liaison from the governor of Sonora, a state in northern Mexico, and it was a sister state kind of thing with Arizona. And he was the governor's liaison there, Governor Boers, I think it was, to Arizona when Janet Napolitano was our governor. When he was appointed, she goes, "I'm very disappointed that they would appoint such a conservative to this position, blah, blah, blah." To which he replied, "I'm not a conservative. I'm a libertarian." Oh, he wasn't invited to the Christmas parties. Well, he and I became friends, and he started writing for it, but he'd write probably 80% of his articles in Spanish. He was the most downloaded columnist we had because the Hispanic, freedom-oriented libertarian community in all of North and South America were going on the Freedom's Phoenix. This is why we started translating, because I wanted to be able to read what he had to say, because he wrote really well. And I remember in the early years when Google Translator first started coming out with that, it was... I spoke enough Spanish so that, I took Spanish in high school, and if you want Hispanic-speaking individuals' money in a restaurant business, you learn some Spanish. Yes, I'd be taking your money. Well, what happened was I could see the translating quality evolve. It's gotten to the point now that you almost can't tell that it's being translated. I mean, before you could see it was kind of losing its syntax a little bit, and some words were kind of out of place and such, but now it's getting woohoo good. So now that Google has this, learning a new language is hard. All those new grammatical rules, the new spellings, new tenses, irregular verbs. It's a serious pain. Luckily, Google Translate just issued an update to enable what Google's calling conversation mode. Basically, it translates a multi-language conversation in real time, spitting out a translation just as soon as you finish speaking. Now you can quit those painful language classes. Well, there's another thing. On my Droid, it has, whenever I do a text message or I'm doing a search on the browser, looking for something, and I'm driving, I just hit a button that says speak, and I just go find so-and-so in the state and city of and whatever, or I can just do a text message. I'm on my way to whatever I did this, call this guy at this number. I just talk, and then it prints it. It just, the text is right there what it is. You show people this that aren't aware of this, and they're like, wow, man, have we come a long way? Yes, we have. It was about 5-6 years ago, I remember my son trying to save himself time. He got tired of retyping stuff in, doing papers that, he's taken from, ripping off the internet anyway. But, what he was doing is he wanted to be able to write his paper just by speaking. So he had voice recognition software, and we were playing with that. And it got to the point, he's a fast typer. He just had a heck with it. And he just, kind of let it go after a month of trying to get it to work because it was more hassle fixing it than it was using it. We're not there anymore. We're into, oh, man, it was working just fine. And it's going to keep getting better. Once you have translating ability into several languages and an IBM supercomputer that can think and play people on Jeopardy and beat them, and chess play, and and then all of a sudden you start giving them control over military equipment. Man, we're Terminator. It's Skynet. This stuff's coming, and who's in charge of this? Not us. Bad guys. Here's another piece of material. It's called, I knew it by Gorilla Glass. Now, this is glass stronger than steel. And I saw, we've been putting it up on Freedom's Phoenix. This is something that was developed, I think, by Corning. And it was 50s, 60s, no later than the 60s. They had this for a long time. And it's like you can't scratch it. This is, it's hard. And for some reason, it kind of set off in the side somewhere, and eventually brought it back. In the world of materials, Strength, the amount of force a substance can withstand, and toughness, its capacity to resist fracturing, are not merely different attributes, they're very difficult to achieve together. Now, a collaboration of researchers from Caltech and the Department of Energy's Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory have created a form of glass that has both qualities. It's stronger and tougher than steel, or indeed any other known material. The material features palladium, a metal whose possible use in glasses was recognized 45 years ago. Yeah, see, this was already 45 years ago. They knew about this, and for whatever reason, I don't know, some other special interest had their say. You know, we got to make marijuana illegal because we got nylon rope to sell. I mean, it's that simple, seriously. I mean, it's always something like that. So this glass is going to be, you know, hitting the shells and whatever impact that's going to have. And that's one thing that I was telling my sons, get in materials. They're machinists at Honeywell Aerospace. And then one left to work for making hoses, high-pressure hoses for deep-sea oil well. And it's materials. Things are going to change. Energy is going to change. Transportation, communication, this all changes. And every single one of these advances brings us further and further away from the collective control of an entity that does not want us being out of their control. Because if you're not in their control, you're out of control. Well, I'm pretty out of control. And I want you to be out of control. You know, but there's some people want you in control. Where we look here, Facebook shares a little more of our data. After the negative response, Facebook have temporarily switched off the new features saying on their blog, over the weekend, we got some useful feedback that would make people more clearly aware of when they are granting access to this data. What they were doing was taking everybody's phone numbers and addresses and cross-referencing them and making it available to the man. Be safe. This is Ernest Hancock. I'm publisher of freedomsphoenix.com and the radio talk show host of Declare Your Independence. Now, I want to give you my personal endorsement of a wealthy U.S. citizen that is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He's produced a video for you. It's a real eye-opener, and I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to watch it. www.endofamerica, the numbers 1 and 7.com. Endofamerica17.com. This video has the history of how we got where we are now and where we're going and why. Now, it's a lengthy video. It'll be about 20 minutes, but you need to watch this so you understand what's going to happen to this country and how you can protect your wealth and even benefit financially. Now, you go there. It's free. I want you to watch this video. You need to have this information so that you can survive the economic collapse that's coming to America. It's not if, it's when. That's End of America, the numbers 1 and 7.com. After you watch it, you'll understand why I endorse it.